What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV, aka Darth Apocalypse. All right, so let's get to this, man. So, one of the biggest problems that we have in today's society is a lack of respect of those who paved the way for the privileges or the structures of society that we have, that we enjoy today in this country, the privileges that we have in this country. And in a subset of that, you have a lack of respect from sports fans about the accomplishments of those who come before. We didn't have that problem as recently as my generation. Um, I don't really recall much of that. I think this started with, I would say, millennials, because they're the product of social media. And social media has generally been dominated by young people, and they don't feel the responsibility. They don't have the responsibility of education. They have the responsibility of pushing and promoting things that is relevant to them. Whereas the standard structure that we grew up watching, it was run by those who felt a need to promote the game, but part of the game was also history. That's been removed, especially, I would argue, when it comes to the black community. And I'll get to that in a moment. So, one of the things we've seen is that past legends, greatness of past legends, I should say, is being questioned more and more, right? People question the legitimacy of the era based on the level of competition or the equipment used or, the skill of the particular athletes of that time period. And Babe Ruth has always faced some criticisms, in particular the fact that he played in a non-integrated era, which of course was taking away some of the best athletes of that sport. They were not eligible to play because of the color of their skin. Okay? Now, make no mistake about it, Babe Ruth was one of the all-time greats, and I don't hold it against Babe Ruth that the baseball structure would not allow black players to play as much as, say, a Tris Speaker or a Ty Cobb or others, because they were in favor of it, at least at that time. Now, supposedly Ty Cobb in his later years advocated for black players to play, but he certainly wasn't advocating when he was playing as an active player. Babe Ruth was. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons why Babe Ruth was now allowed to be a manager was because he planned on integrating baseball a decade before it actually happened. If he became a manager, he was definitely going to try to get black ball players, black and Cuban players on his team, because when he was an active player, Babe Ruth used to barnstorm in exhibitions with black and Cuban players, or I should say black and Latin players, and they got to showcase how good they were, because many times they beat the major leaguers, the white major leaguers. So anyway, I say all that because, there's this perception that Babe Ruth was this racist. And I mean, I don't know what the man said in his day. He was born in 1895. He probably did use slurs. But then again, it was a different time. I will say that his actions show that he was actually rather progressive for his time period. But anyway, be that as it may, a Major League Baseball player, an all-star actually, has come out and said that, he thinks there's some credence to the conspiracy theory that Babe Ruth may not even had existed, and that he's some sort of media creation. Yeah. So it's been a long time since Babe Ruth became a baseball legend. So long, in fact, that one of today's brightest MLB stars thinks the Sultan of Swat is more mythical than legendary. It's a premise so out of left field that the player, Pete Crow Armstrong of the Chicago Cubs, began his explanation with, quote, "This is going to be crazy." Appearing on Kristen Cavallari's podcast, Let's Be Honest, alongside fellow Cub Carson Kelly, PCA as he's known, was asked for an unpopular opinion, and he obliged.
What's an unpopular opinion that you have?
This is going to be crazy.
I love it.
Babe Ruth never existed is one that I
Oh
like.
my god.
Wow.
Really? He never
Yeah.
existed.
I heard some pitcher with the Mariners, what's his name? Salcedo? You remember him?
Salcedo, yeah, lefty.
I
Yeah.
think he did some podcast on Zoom when he was like going down the rabbit hole with somebody about how Babe Ruth never existed. And I was like, dude, that's
Wow.
awesome. Like,
Wow. So you're going to double down right now?
well, it's like we always talk about how like the game's evolving and like people might as well have been like underhanding the ball to that guy, and he's regarded still as one of the best players ever, and you might as well dive further into it and be like, well, maybe he just never existed.
I love it. I love it.
That's crazy.
That's a good one.
That's a good-
Moon landing picture, like
Yeah.
are those pictures real?
Yeah, the moon landing.
It's a moon thing.
I don't really want to get into this.
So I want to read this rest of this article, right? And I want to make a point about something. So the article goes, Brandon Contes of Awful Announcing was kind enough to dig up PCA's reference. The podcast Crow Armstrong, is referring to was a 2024 interview with Mariners pitcher Taylor Saucedo, in which he alleged there aren't many videos of Ruth playing baseball, so he must not be real. Crow Armstrong didn't go directly to the lack of video as proof. Instead, he's extrapolating based on what he's seen in his time in baseball and expanded to 100 years back. And going further with this, you know, when you look at this article, they make points about, well, look, in that time period, many of his games could not be filmed. There was no television. Television wasn't invented until approximately, as we know it, more than 15 years after the Bambino last played in Major League Baseball in 1935. And it didn't really become commonplace in households until 20 years after Babe Ruth called it quits in 1935, right? So his best years were in 1920s. Unless you're talking about newsreels, which might have highlighted the World Series or maybe some important games from time to time or interviews, you're not going to see a lot of game footage of Babe Ruth. But I thought this would be common knowledge, but apparently with the younger generation, they're so ignorant, they don't even understand these things, you know? But you notice how in this article, they made sure to fact check Crow Armstrong's assertion that Babe Ruth never existed. Well, we have footage, we have the records, you know, he was born in 1895. We all know he really existed. They went out their way to make sure that you know that this is bullshit. Right? They made sure that they did that. And when you look at the reaction to people, from people as far as Crow Armstrong making this assertion, they are pissed off. Chris Russo went on a rant about this guy saying that Babe Ruth never existed. You look at the fan base out there, the Major League Baseball fan base, they are irate that he said this, and they demand that he come back out and apologize for saying that Babe Ruth never existed, right? But see, this is the difference between, I'm just going to be honest with you, white folk and black folk. See, when they went out and said that Will Chamberlain never scored 100 points, I didn't see all this fact checking from these articles. They left it out there, floating in the abyss, only left for people like me to counter it. And you don't have people in NBA angle or NBA circles, I should say, shooting this stupid shit down. Matter of fact, notice how she kind of like egged it on. Yeah, it's like the moon landing. Well, that's what all of them do. And you don't see the same outrage. Matter of fact, you see a bunch of dumb jigs running around here. Seconding it, thirding it, saying, oh, it might be true. Who knows? There's no footage of him. There's no footage of him scoring 100 points. So he probably didn't do it. Maybe the numbers are rigged. The numbers are fake. And see, that's the difference between the communities. The black community, us, sometimes we don't take pride in our heroes. And the system itself isn't designed for us to have any fucking heroes. And you see it all the time. Whether it's Dr. King, you have people out there, even people that look like us, making their business to crap on Dr. King. All of a sudden, holding him to a moral standard as far as, oh, he cheated on his wife. Motherfucker, you a Trump supporter. Donald Trump literally, according to evidence, cheated on his wives with, you know what I'm saying, goddamn little rascals. The fuck are you talking about? Now Wilt Chamberlain, he didn't score 100 points. Although at the same time, you'll say, well, Wilt played against 6'4" white dwarves. But somehow he can't score 100 points against these white dwarves. But then you'll say Giannis can go back to 1975 and score 250 points in the game. It's coming from a place of hate. It's coming from a place of disingenuousness. It's coming from a place of mean-spiritedness. You know that he did it. But you want to sign on just because you want to fight this stupid, irrelevant, nonsensical battle with us old heads. Meanwhile, you're just destroying the black heroes that we have. Meanwhile, they make sure you'll never do that with their heroes. They jumped out there and made sure that Babe Ruth would not be fucking, disrespected in this way. They'll make sure you won't disrespect George Washington. You go out here and say something about Ty Cobb and see what happens. You come out here and say something about Tom Brady and see what happens. You come out here and say something about goddamn John Wayne to some of these people and see what happens. You come out here and say something about one of their heroes, Andy Jackson. You talking about taking Andrew Jackson off $20 bill and replacing him with Harriet Tubman? They shut that shit down quick, didn't they? Y'all better wake the fuck up. They won't allow their heroes to be desecrated in any way, shape, or form. But we'll go right along with, because we're so full of self-hatred. Yeah, man. Will Chamberlain ain't shit. Bill Russell ain't shit. I think Malcolm X, I heard that he might have been gay. He had sex with a white businessman. Because I just heard it from a white guy that's associated with, what's that guy, Nick Fuentes? Yeah, he know what he talking about. Yeah, no white folks know what they talking about.